Hey everyone, welcome to day one of my live 4-5. I have taken the challenge to kind of push myself out of the boundaries and go live for 5 days in a row to help you understand if it's the right time for you to rebrand, different things to think about during the process of rebranding or before you invest in a brand designer. And then lastly, what the process of working with a brand designer looks like. I know that there may be a lot of miscommunication or misrepresentations of what it is that a brand designer does, what the process is as a whole. And so I want to clear up some of those maybe mistakes or things that you may be thinking that just aren't true. If this is your first time seeing me, hearing me, my name is Amanda Shuman. I am the designer at Carrie Love Designs. I am a brand and show website designer. And a little bit about what prompted this is actually I kind of just went through a rebrand of my own business. I'll tell you a little bit more about that story later, but I want to dive right into how to know if you are ready to rebrand, if you're ready to take the plunge and rebrand your business. And so one of the first things that might be a red flag that it's time to rebrand is if you're not attracting your ideal client. Your brand is supposed to help draw in your customer, and maybe you're struggling to raise your prices. Maybe you're getting price shopped. And so that's the first way to kind of know if you're ready to rebrand. Because by rebranding, you can change the way that clients perceive you. And so you can reach maybe a new ideal client, raise your prices. And so if you're struggling to either raise your prices or find your ideal client, and then that's going to be the first maybe red flag or telltale sign that it's time to rebrand. And number two, which I'm going to tell you, these lives are going to be super short, maybe live for 5 minutes. But the second one is if you quit using your brand and your logo and your colors or your patterns, which this is where I'll dive into kind of a little bit of my story. I noticed that I hadn't quit using my logo. I still adored my logo. I loved everything about my logo, but I quit using my colors. The only place that you would see my colors is on my logo and my website. Anywhere else, if I designed something new, like a business card or a new marketing, or I was just making a new Facebook banner, I really struggled to use my brand colors. I felt like they misrepresented who I was, and I just didn't connect with them. See, I started Carrie Love Designs about 5 years ago. I was in a completely different place in my life. I was just out of college. I was living in Houston. I was working in corporate America, and I had like an entry-level job, and owning my own studio just seemed like a far-off dream. And so now, fast forward 5 years later, I'm married, I have a kid, I do this full time. I'm leaps and bounds from where I was when I first started out. And so that's what really prompted me to start thinking about rebranding myself. I was like, hey, I'm not really using my colors. I don't really not that I don't like them anymore, but I just felt like they weren't representing who I was. And so if that's you and you just quit using maybe your logo, or you quit using your the brand colors that come with your logo, and honestly, if it just feels right, then it's time to take the plunge. I know for me, I just had like this gut feeling, and I just came to this realization one day. I was like, you know what? I don't want to feel like I have to keep this brand just because it's something that I started out with. I started my business to make my own decisions and to be my own boss. And so if it feels like the right time, then dive in, take the plunge, start doing the homework. And so if this sounds like you, and then please join me for the rest of the week. We're going to be talking about creating a personal brand. We're going to be talking about connecting and finding your ideal client. And we're going to be talking more about the branding process. what's needed before you hire a brand designer, the questions to ask whenever you're in the process of finding a brand designer, what's good to know, what questions you need to ask the designer up front, and just a lot of really good information, because investing in a brand is an investment. Like, it is a pretty penny. So you want to make sure that you're doing the homework up front so that you are getting your money's worth out of the investment. I will tell you, this brand that I've had now has stuck with me for 3 or 4 years. And so, if you want a brand that continues to stay with you for that long, then you got to do the homework up front. So day 1, Live for 5. Let's figure out if it is time for you to rebrand. And if so, then join me tomorrow, because we're going to be talking about creating a personal brand and what that looks like. So join me tomorrow. Thank you so much, and have a good rest of your day. If you're watching this on replay, have a good rest of your night, afternoon, whatever time it is. Thanks for joining.